Russo Italiano sponsors Boxing Bros UK.
Hello everybody, this is Boxing Bros UK here. I am Hiss the Boss Chris. This is my co-host Andrew the Boxing Brain. Today we're doing a little tribute to the late great Big George Foreman. Talking about his career, we're going to watch a few highlights of his most iconic fights that meant a lot. So just talk about his career.
A tribute.
Wow. Yeah, a tribute to his to the great man. The thing about everyone should check out the Big George biopic. Have you seen it?
Oh God, I haven't seen that no. I need to watch that again. Actually, yeah.
It's on Netflix. So basically, it's quite extraordinary. He started his career in the amateurs, and he's only in the amateurs for 2 years. Won a gold medal straight away, smashing everybody up. Then in the pros, then when he turned pro, I think he fought like eight times a year, or nearly 10 times a year.
They did then.
That it's just like, and people whine these years twice a year. You barely get people fight more than twice a year. So his first title fight against Joe Frazier, gonna have a little watch of it. Joe Frazier, a bit of history. He just beat Muhammad, and Muhammad, when he came out, Muhammad Ali, he fought the #1 highest contender out there. Like basically, whoever's mandatory for the title, he came out, beat him. I think it was Jerry Quarry, if I'm not mistaken. Beat him, then fought Joe Frazier to say, "I'll show you I'm still good. I'm at the level," because he'd been out for years. Fought Joe Frazier and lost to Joe Frazier. Got knocked down for like second or third time in the career. And Joe Frazier was like the Mike Tyson, like he just beat the legend Ali, and no one thought he was going to do it. And then George Foreman fought him, and this is what happened, guys.
Yeah.
It's quite
Joe Frazier.
Like Frazier was like the Tyson.
Anthony Dundee, Ali's trainer, right next to me, is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He is as poised as can be. We have a minute left in this first round, and already this fight is proving out what some have expected. Underneath, Archie Moore is yelling the Foreman. We've got the excitement here that we look for. Frazier is dazed. He is getting hit again and again and again. The same head that was hit so often by Muhammad Ali. Frazier is dazed. You see the countdown for the first round. Foreman has not panicked. Foreman is going about his job. Foreman is all over Joe Frazier. Frazier is down again, and he may be. No, he is rising. He is game. He doesn't know where he is. Now the round is about to end. 2 knockdowns in the first round of Joe Frazier. Down again. No saving by the bell. He's up, and so the fight continues. 3 knockdowns in the first round by George Foreman. Now you're looking at the right for the first knockdown. Clean as a whistle. Oh, what a first round. Slow-mo for the second knockdown. The right again. Clean as a whistle again. We're waiting for the start now of round 2. There was no question about the first round. 3 knockdowns. Now Joe is coming out at him. Wants to come back in a hurry. You'll not find a gamer man than Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier, who went down 3 times in the first round. A caution from Arthur Mercani. Oh, he is all over Frazier again. He has Frazier in the corner. Frazier's knees buckled. He is down. He is down for the fourth time in the fight. George Foreman is doing the Joe Frazier what he did as a 19-year-old to a veteran Russian, a fellow named Ionis Shapoulis, in October of 1968 in the Mexico City Arena. A quick left from George. Another. Frazier is down for the 5th time in this fight. 3 times in the first round, twice in the second. McCanny checked his senses, checked Frazier's senses. It's target practice for George Foreman. It is target practice. Frazier is ready to go again. Joe is standing. There he goes. 3 times. 3 times. The fight is stopped. No, it is not. It is not stopped. Angie Dundee is screaming, stop it. Bertie Pacheco, Ali's doctor next to me. It is over. It is over. It is over in the second round. George Foreman.
Ref saved him from himself.
That was. So when you look at the magnitude of that win, he's just beat all ferocious and everything, and then he's just dismantled this guy in 2 rounds. Wow.
Styles make fights sometimes. I tell you what, I mean, we were talking in a previous video about not going out on your shield. I mean, you got to give Joe Frazier credit, haven't you? I mean, one of the all-time, both of them are 2 of the all-time great heavyweights, great boxers of all time. I mean, the heart on him, he was not willing to give up at all. But, you know, George Foreman it's so heavy-handed, and he was a bit more schooled in that kind of 70s era. You know, I always figure that 90s Foreman where he's a bit looser and but he's a bit more kind of, you know. But Jesus Christ, right?
But his style's quite unique because in boxing, most times, like they tell you, like if you want to get power punching, you have a wide stance, like front foot forward, wider, back foot apart.
Yeah, Wilder.
He's like, foot this shit. He stands square on, which is a no-go. Where they tell you never stand square on, and he stands there and starts throwing these mad body and uppercuts till you just get destroyed. That's why Styles quite unique.
Arm punches as well.
Absolute.
Lot of arm punches. Lot of arm punches, but like a bit. Piccoli's got that similar. People compare Piccoli to Foreman quite a lot, but Jesus Christ, you kind of think, right? Because I saw an interview in a barbershop with Shannon Briggs, and Shannon Briggs has been in there with all sorts of heavy punches, and he names Foreman as the hardest.
His last fight,
as his last fight. He says Foreman's the hardest puncher. That was a 46-year-old Foreman in 1997, right at the end of his career.
Yeah,
you know, went 12 rounds with him. I think that was. Muhammad Ali said it was like being hit by a sledgehammer or whatever it was, and just Shannon Briggs said as well. He said he'd never been hit like that before. And he was saying in his corner, he's got fucking metal in his gloves. Someone needs to check his gloves. He said he was fit. Said it's been hit so hard. Like, no, Muhammad Ali said being hit by George Foreman was like being hit by a Mack truck, an American Mack truck. So that gives you. But just to finish on that, right? Like you say, very square on, flying a lot of arm. How much more powerful would he be with a wide stance, right? And screwing, kind of, you know, twisted into the shots, right? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much more powerful he might have been.
He was very, and he was all about parrying as well, and he did a lot of pushing. So he'd be like you try and hit him in his early days. He'd have like that kind of, and it'd be like slap. And then as soon as you get close, bang to the body. Them like little like an uppercut hook kind of thing. Like just
so unorthodox. Like some of his like blocking, he would sort of block like that, like that, and then just push it like that.
That was in his old days. Oh, the next highlight we've got. So he after Joe Frazier, he defended his title again. Then he defended it against Ken Norton. who was another guy who'd beat Muhammad Ali as well. And he destroyed him in 3 rounds. Basically, the same way he destroyed Joe Frazier, just absolute destruction. So absolutely battered him and knocked him out in 3 rounds. So then he fights Ali, and obviously don't want to go because this is the George Foreman tribute, not the Ali. So he loses to Ali. He makes him depressed. He's doing Deontay Wilder. He even admitted it, making excuses, saying that the people, it was the heat, it was the that. Yeah. And then he fights again. He fights Ron Lyle. If anyone wants some George Foreman fights, you watch Ron Lyle downs in that fight. George Foreman gets put down twice or 3 times, and he goes on to win that fight by stoppage. Brilliant fight, him and Ron Lyle. And Ron Lyle was like a journeyman who used to cause the upset sometimes. A really good fighter back in the day.
Tough.
People held.
Yeah.
Tough fight. Everyone, Ken Norton, Fraser, Ali, gave all them hella fights. Then I think then he had a few more fights and he lost to Jimmy Young. Then he retired. He lost to Jimmy Young, who was a good fighter. Gave Ali a close fight. A lot of people said that when he was a prospect. Then retires, and then he comes back to raise money for his youth centre, I believe. Is that right? His youth centre.
Something like that, yeah.
And everyone thought it was a joke. No one believed him. Everyone thought it was a joke. And I think when he's first come back, the first year he outed in 1 year. Then the second year he had 10 fights in 1 year. And then they said, right, let's take it serious now. We'll put him in against Jerry Cooney, who was a contender, lost against Larry Holmes. But he was up and in there, had a few good wins, but he was never world champion or whatever, but he was a top contender back in that era. Fights George Foreman, and then we're just going to pull up the video. So he proves this is George. I'm like, an important fight to prove. But I've still got it. All right, I'll re-roll for Fat Belly, but I've still got the I've still got the old George Power. And boy, does he have the old George Power still.
Ready to go, and there he goes.
It's pretty good.
And he is badly hurt. Same position he was in round 1 against Spinks. A clubbing right hand by Foreman. Now let's see if he's learned anything about how to survive, because he's got 1 minute and 8 seconds left. Oh, and that's it. And I don't think this fight's over. This fight's over. George Foreman blows away Jerry Cooney in the second round.
And he came over here to ringside and winked.
And Jerry Cooney is not close to getting up. 1 minute and 57 seconds of the second round. George Foreman.
So
the walking uppercut, eh? The walking uppercut.
I know.
Inside uppercut by Foreman.
Did you see the timing of it? Because it was so relaxed. Obviously, he didn't give any tells. Just walked up, bang, and just timed it right. Lead uppercut.
Experience.
You see what happened?
Yeah, because he had what was it, from 77 to 87, wasn't it? Because he lost, didn't he? He lost to Jimmy Young, wasn't it, in 77?
Yeah. That's when he
then
retired.
He kind of went away doing the youth centre stuff, and then 10 years, 10 years away. And I saw an interview with him, and he said, I didn't want any more part of boxing. I didn't like it. It's hard, it's tough. You know, and then I didn't have any choice. He needed the money and whatnot. I think he needed the money, and you know, he had to get back in camp and get it. He really didn't want to do it by the sounds of it. But I mean, fair. But did it show though how good that 70s era was, where he comes back in the 90s? I mean, all right, he then eventually fights Morrison, wasn't it, for the WBO? Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, that was in 1990. That was in 1994, wasn't it? Then he he fought he fought Holyfield in 91 as well, on his comeback trail, and that was for the IBF and WBC. But yeah, did it go to show how great that era was? And that was a good version of Michael Moore, by the way, where a 40, God knows what, 44, 45-year-old. Yeah.
We've got a clip of that. We've got a clip of that to come on to.
Yeah.
But like you say,
shows how good that era was, where he's still doing it in his 40s. And also, by the way, another good era of boxing in the 90s. And we're coming into another good era. Holyfield, you know, Tommy Morrison was a good heavyweight, you know. So yeah, I mean, fair play to him.
Just to shed another little bit of light. So obviously he beats Jerry Cooney. So they say, right, Foreman's in the mix to maybe get a world title shot. So he fights Holyfield.
Yeah.
And like he's backing Holyfield up. Like at first, people feeling sorry for him. This fight's a bit. He nearly knocks Holyfield out in the 12th, and he really comes on strong in the later part of the fight. And he's in it. He's not winning, but he's in it. He's competitive. And Holyfield standing toe to toe with George. He's on his bike. He's moving because he don't want to do it. He fights Tommy Morrison, and Tommy Morrison, obviously, probably you know him from Rocky V, but at the time, he was like, they used to call him the White Mike Tyson. He was an artist, was running through people, 1, 2, 3 rounds. Then he fights George Foreman, beats him, but again, even though he's in his 40s, competitive, and this knockout guy, he's on his bike, he's running away. He's not training with Big George either. So you've got two guys, well, just Tommy Morrison was WBO champ, and Holyfield IBF, and the other one, WBC, I think.
WBC.
Out, they're running away from this old man, and they're going the distance with this old man.
But that shows how heavy-handed George Foreman is. Because if you look, right, I've got his, and I know you know this anyway, right? So his record was 76-5, right? 76 fights and 5 losses, 68 KOs, right? 89.47% KO ratio in 76 fights. I mean, that is right up there. That's right up there as one of the best. People go on about Wilder's 97% ratio. Yeah, but Wilder's 97% ratio is against a load of fucking binmen and postmen. Let's have it right. You know.
The thing is, like George's fights, he's probably, all the people on Wilder's resume, you can count that. George Foreman's probably knocked out 50 caliber 47 people just as good as anyone on his resume. 100%.
Well, I think people don't realise. People don't realise, because people younger than us know him for the George Foreman grill, right? He had like a second career. And people don't realise, right? I don't think just how good he was and how big a punching heavyweight he was. To come back in the 90s, 40 years of age, right? Yeah. A kind of much different version of him, to be fighting, going toe-to-toe with Tommy Robinson, as you say, the White Mike Tyson, knocking everybody out, toe-to-toe with Holyfield, hurt Holyfield in that fight. You know, fighting Michael Moore, a good version of Michael Moore, Shannon Briggs in 1997 when he's 46, 47 years of age. Incredible. Shannon Briggs was a very tough, durable heavyweight. I mean, I don't think people realise like how good George Foreman was. Like people talk about, because he was in that era, everyone talks about not even the Ernie Shaverses and the Ken Nortons, but Ali, Joe Frazier, Larry Holmes, right? All these guys. I don't think George Foreman maybe gets the credit along with those, because the era was so good. He was right alongside them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. If you think, especially, he had 2 careers. He had his Destroyer career, where he was he was the man who was feared, like Tyson. They were scared as soon as they got in the ring, and he was destroying people. Then he had his comeback where he was wily, and he lost a couple of times. But this is the thing, why boxing isn't like, if he beats him, he beats him. Because who did Michael Moorer win for the title? He beat Holyfield. And who did Holyfield beat before he fought Michael Moorer? Foreman. So you can't say because he beats him, all these triangle theories. It's Ching Chang Walla. Rock, paper, scissors boxing. this guy beat this style beats this style, this style beats this style. But I think going out, let's watch that magnificent moment of George Foreman, Michael Moorer, oldest heavyweight champion. I don't think, even with all the sports science and everything, I don't think that's ever going to be beaten.
No, I agree. Doubt it. Maybe Chisora.
To give him all the credit in the world, but
that will be.
Again, he's a 45-year-old man in a young man's game. But look at that competitive spirit coming out now.
Straight right hand landing for Foreman. He's had a pretty good round here in number 10.
Again, Atlas didn't counter. Atlas, here we go again with the Atlas. Michael Moorer is down.
Goes Moorer on the right hand. An unbelievably close in right hand
It's
shot.
not the third of us, like this is Nando, what I'm saying. You're fast.
It
He's
happened.
gone.
It happened.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Here's a guy I said was a clubber.
As referee Joe Cortez waved his arms over Moorer, George Foreman knelt in prayer in the neutral corner.
You know, this was a 2-to-1 fight, but in my mind it was a gazillion to 1 that George Foreman could ever win the heavyweight championship again. This is a really remarkable achievement, and it has to stand on its own. We're in a show and tell medium, and show does it all.
So some of the old power was still there after all.
It sure fooled me. Didn't show it in the entire fight where it came from.
Well, we mentioned that he was having a strong round. He had set up some blows, and then that right hand anesthetized Michael Moorer.
It sure did. And that's the one thing I said George couldn't do. He couldn't get you out with one punch. But boy, he sure fooled me and Michael Moorer.
It landed right on the point of the chin, Gil.
Right on the button where it says good night.
You see the blood welling up behind Moorer's lips as he momentarily went to sleep.
Right on the chin.
The 68th man in 26 years to have fallen before the professional.
I mean, you know, I think, you know, you could talk all day about George Foreman, some of these greats, but that's quite a nice way to end it, really, isn't it?
Well,
it's quite a nice sort of place to end it, because
I wish he didn't fight Shannon Briggs, because that was his last fight. He lost to Shannon Briggs. I wish he would have retired after this fight. It would have been so sweet. You know, I did it. I tried, and like he tried twice, and he didn't give up. Imagine being 40, 45, and you've lost twice fighting for a world title. And okay, I'm going to try again.
I mean, I'm trying to think now, right? I'm trying to think just in recent times, right? Fighters fighting in their mid-fun. This is in the modern, like you said about strength and conditioning coaches and all the diet, right? You've got Marius Wack, who's you know, look shadow his former self. Carlos Takam, I think, you know, in and around that age. Derek Chisora, 41, but he lived on his last legs. 45 years of age, going in there against Michael Moorer, who was, you know, good version of Michael Moorer. Because they said it in there, didn't they? A gazillion to 1 chance, as that commentator said, in his opinion. And then, because I think it was a good couple of years later he fought Shannon Briggs, wasn't it? But a bridge too far, yeah. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know, what that was about. But, I mean, great man, great career.
What it's always about is that ring gauges.
Loved his grill. Loved his George Foreman grill. I did have one of those for quite a few years. So thank you very much, George, for the memories. We'll look at your fights and biographies, and I'll get on that Netflix one.
Yeah,
and
check out the biopic.
Yeah.
Big George is on Netflix. Great biopic. Great man, and he's a lovely character as well. All his kids, he's just a funny guy. Anyway, that's us. In our respect to George Foreman and talking about his career. Like and
comments,
subscribe.